Good morning, this is Jackie from the Stitchin Post, and today's video is about pre-cutting a little house quilt that we do here in the store. And I'm going to show you, here's one of them. I believe it is our fall one, autumn. And then here's one that is our Halloween village. And we're working on one right now that's called Christmas Village. That's the one I'm going to show you how to cut it so you can get the most out of the fabric that you have. And you can do this with your own fabrics at home. This is just the kit that we do. Here's the kit. It's called Christmas Village, and it comes with 16 fat eighths, 5/8 yard for your sky, and I believe that's it. And that's all you really need. Oh, and the pattern. And it comes with this pattern called Jumble by Village, and it's a free download from Moda, so you can go get that off their website. So with the sky fabric, this is a big piece. A lot of times we have fat eighths of the sky also, and you can cut it up into 5-inch squares and into triangles like it tells you to do in the pattern. And then here are the little fat quarter or fat eighths that come with it, these pieces here. So I'm going to show you how to cut one of them up. You can layer them 2, 3, 4 deep if you like to do that. I do, it goes much faster. So I'm going to start with, here is my fat eighth piece, okay? Now, you need to get some roofs, some walls, some doors, and some windows. So I cut my fat eighth, I cut the first 10 inches off. Here it is. Cut the 10 inches off here. Boom, open that up. Okay. And what I'm going to get from this, I cut, from the 10 inches, I cut a 5-inch strip, a 5 by 10 inch strip. I'm going to cut that strip in half, so it's 5 by 5. And then I'll cut those 2 squares on the diagonal. Here they are here. Those are my rooftops, okay? Then this next piece here, which I'm going to cut for, I have to look at my cheat sheets, people, I'm sorry. 2 3/4 inches. These are going to be my doors. So I cut it 2 3/4 inches by the 10 inches. And then I cut those apart into our doors, which are here, and they are 2 3/4 inches by 2 inches. So those, I get 3 of them, 1, 2, 3, and this is a leftover piece. And then this little piece on the end is leftover. So those I'm using, these are 2 leftovers. Then from this last piece here, you never know what size it's going to be because depending on how wide the fabric is, it could be, I don't know, it could be 2-3 inch difference between it. But I'm going to cut my doors from it. Here's my doors, and they're 4.5 inches. So I'm going to cut a 4.5 inch strip, okay? And from that, I'm going to cut my doors, which are 2 1/4 inches across. So I cut my 2 1/4 inches. There's my doors, and I have a little leftover piece on the end here. Sometimes it'll be bigger than that, sometimes it'll be smaller than that. And then I want to get 3 sets of doors because you need 2 walls for each house. So then my next strip, which is this one here, I'm going to cut 2 1/4 width, 2 1/4 inches, and I'll get 2 doors from that. See, 1, 2, 4.5. But follow your pattern to make sure all the...
You mean, these are walls though,
walls,
right?
I'm sorry, yes, Valerie's correct. These are walls. I don't know what I'm talking about. My doors are over here. These are my walls, and you need 2 walls per house, okay? And so you have to have them in sets of 2. So I have 3 sets of 2s here. So I can get 3 houses out of this. Then this last little strip here, I'm going to cut off 2 inches because that's how wide the windows are. And there's a little strip left here. And then I can cut, you can see I can cut 3 windows. 1, 2, 3 windows from that. This is a leftover piece, this is a leftover piece, this is leftover, this is leftover, and this is leftover. If you want to do chimneys on your rooftops, you can use those pieces for your chimneys. Okay, now you know how to cut it apart. We're going to step over here, and these are all my step outs. So here's all my house pieces cut. My 2 walls, my door, my window, and my rooftop, and they all came from the same fabric. But now if I want to put a house together, I pull 2 walls, find a different door. So just go through your pile of fabrics and grab a door. Put a door in there. And the same thing with a window. You want a different window. So let's have some tree windows. Okay. And when you go to start to sew your houses together, I'll actually shuffle my whole entire houses before I start. So I'll have all these piled up in different combinations, okay? So I'll sew, and here's what I've done with my houses. I've sewed them all together. But I sew my doors and windows together first, and then I go back and put walls with them. And here's my some of them. Obviously I have not finished, but these are what my combinations I've done so far, okay? So then I get my house blocks done. The roofs can be tricky, as there's a lot of steps that they want you to do for the roofs. I do my roofs all at the same time. And in the pattern, they actually have you slice the roof, the sky part of, they have you slice the sky apart and insert your little chimney. I'm not doing that. I actually bought more fabric to go with it, so I had my chimneys, they'll all be the same. And I cut them 1 inch, and this is what they look like. I turned them under. Matter of fact, you can see where I turned them under and pressed them. And then I top stitched them onto my roofs. I measured over the 2 inches that they have you do, and I drew a pencil line on each one of those. And then I top stitched my little chimneys on there. So much simpler. You just cut it off here, and they're ready to put on your...
And it doesn't mess with the size of your pieces.
Right, it doesn't mess with the size of pieces at all, because that little chimney that you would normally sew it in there, makes it the same size. You're putting in the same amount you took out. So I didn't want to mess with that. I top stitched them and then even up all the little edges. Okay. Oh, here's a pencil. Excuse me. It's where I drew on a bunch of them. And then I just laid the fabric on top and top stitched it down. So I actually sewed all of my roofs together before I did anything else. Well, these aren't done, but here's roofs that have been sewed together. So if I have all my roofs sewed, I can now sew them to my houses. They do have you cut, because you'll see these roofs are much bigger than the house, okay? In the pattern, they have you cut them down. I only cut down, the width, not the width, the length of it here. From the top to the bottom. I cut that down to the size it's supposed to be, okay? And then, so I cut this down a little bit, 1/4 inch above here, and then whatever brings it to, I think it's 3 inches, okay? So when I go to put these together, say I'm gonna use this one, I actually flip this like so and line them up, okay? I have a little bit of green poking out here and here. I sew that, okay? And then, here it's sewed, and maybe that. It's sewed and pressed. Now, I will just take my cutter and my ruler and trim them up.
How come it doesn't have a chimney?
Not all of them have chimneys. About half have chimneys, and you kind of spread it throughout your quilt. So here I have some finished ones. Okay, they both have chimneys. This has chimney. Apparently I was in the chimney mood. But that house is done and ready to be put into my quilt. These houses are done and ready to be put in my quilt. Okay, that is how you cut and assemble your houses, no matter what fabric you're making them out of. Thank you.